My name is Tui Pham. I teach 6th grade at Creative Connections Arts Academy. So I mainly teach science and science and math, but I've had all my kids did core teaching, but strength teaching in the past couple of years with math and science. And I also have the luxury of teaching 2 days a week, the whole school. So we have like kind of an exploratory, like an elective class to a K8, K6, so they can pick whatever they want. So stop motion is one of those deals where I have first graders in my room all the way up to 6th graders. So it's really fun to teaching them. It's very different teaching first graders versus teaching 6th graders. So the issues of a first grader licking their Legos and dealing with that, and it's like, I don't know what you're doing. If your partner's licking your Legos, can you tell them not to lick your Legos? You know, so those are kind of the issues. But you know, it's like, no, don't throw it away. I can wipe it down. But I know he licked it, but I can clean it. Legos cost a lot of money, so can we? You know, so first graders love them. So. Yeah, I grew up in the 80s, so I grew up watching Gumby and a lot of the old school animation, you know. Oh, here's my information there. Follow me on Twitter. I usually post some fun things on there, like I do a lot of green screen, so if you guys want to follow me. This is like the old school animation that I grew up on. And so old school that my dad was a school teacher, and he would bring home the big VCR recorder every once in a while. And then, so that's how I started with animation. But VCR camcorders back then did not stop on a dime. It would stop and it would record for 3 seconds before it stopped. And so then I would take all the footage that I did using clay and then put it onto a VCR, so connect it to a VCR. And then I would have to borrow my friend's father's $600 VCR when they weren't home. And then, so it was a big ordeal just to get this, and that was no sound, and then I had to plug in the boombox to play the sound. So that was like stop motion back then. Now they make it all easy. They put it on the iPad. Everything is there, and it's just so easy. I think the kids are spoiled. So growing up on Gumby and some of the new animation nowadays with Nightmare Before Christmas, and a lot of people didn't know, but the early on South Parks were done with stop motion cutouts too. So that's another way that we can use stop motion. But I've kind of geared this presentation more a lot to the Google Slides, because a lot of the kids love the Google Slides, and that can be done independently too. So we have a lot of kids just working individually, so you don't have to worry about the kids licking the Legos anymore. It's like, well, just go off and you have your own computer, create your own slides. This year I want to take on a big project and create teams and do like the water cycle. So you do one part of the water cycle, you do evaporation, and then you go on to, you know, the perspiration, and then moving on there. And so everybody's going to create a 5-second animation, then we're going to put it all together to make like a little commercial of it. So that's going to be my big project this year with the students. Okay. So what is stop motion? It's basically a series of a lot of pictures, you know, and when you move those individual pieces step by step, they actually look like they're moving. So this is a action of this guy moving the piece, and it looks like they're actually coming to life. The industry, like when they make movies, is roughly 24 frames per second. So they're taking one picture, one picture, one picture, one pictures, and then basically movie industry equals about 24 frames per second. Animations, I've told the kids, you can go as low as 10 frames per second all the way up to 15. 24 frames is awesome, but the kids don't usually get that. So it teaches a lot of patience when it comes making the animation. So because they do have to take a lot of pictures. In that 50-minute period, I tell the kids you roughly will have anywhere like 5 seconds worth of footage. And they come in just ambitious. They're like, I'm gonna make a movie, this is gonna have this happen. I'm like, you're gonna make a 30-second little movie. You know, they're like, 30 seconds, no, I wanna make more. But like, just to understand, that's where the math comes on. So if you're moving this 15 frames per second, think about how much you're going to need in 5 seconds. Think of how much you need in 30 seconds. So we talk about that, and that's a lot of footage that they're going to capture by the end of the project's over. So the software that I use, I try to always go with iOS, so I go with all the Apple products. They've always been reliable, but in the app stores, they change up a lot. Just last year, I was doing a presentation and somebody was trying to do the Lego movie one, which was great. I thought it was really awesome because they put in music, they put in sound, but then somebody went to go download it and they didn't have it in the app store anymore. So I believe it's gone, so I'm crossing my fingers that they'll bring it back, but I haven't seen it the last year. So iMotion for iOS, and there's a picture of the icon right there. That is basically the best one. They have a paid version, but it's for like HD quality pictures when they export it out there. I don't feel it's necessary, but if you guys want to pay, that's fine. There's other ones too. Whenever I do stop motion, what I'm looking for is something that will capture into my photo gallery, so I own it. If you guys ever did like Animoto, basically when you're done with it, they give you a link to it. But once they give you a link, you really can't do anything with it. It's just for showcase. Whereas if you have it, if it's in your photo gallery, you can actually take it now. I can put it into iMovie or other movie programs, and I can add music to it. I can add titles. I can add voiceovers. So that allows me to change it up a little bit more. So when the kid's done with the stop motion, I say, we'll go add a title, go add music for it. If you need to do voiceovers, and you can do that. So I like to do to look for the free ones that can have that option. For the Android ones, here's the ones that I found. I haven't played around with a lot with the Android ones, but from the reviews and from the ones I watch on YouTube, those are very similar. All the apps and all the programs works the same. You know, they capture a frame by frame shot. You know, and most of them will give you a frame rate that you guys can move on, like 10 frames per second versus 14. And you'll see the difference. The lower it goes, usually is pretty choppy. The faster it goes, is really quick. But then the video overall ends up to be very quick too. Okay, and if you guys ever time lapse, it's the same kind of motion. Okay. The supplies I usually use is I've been doing it from a long time ago, where I've had old school. iPods. I forgot even what generation this is, but I still keep these around. These are the ones I let the kids borrow if they ever want to do a project at home. I let them borrow because they're so old that I don't hardly need them anymore. But they're fun and they're small and they're compact. And most of the kids have their phones now, so they can download the iMovie for free. But then I've upgraded to the bigger iPads. So it's bigger and they're bulkier, and so it's harder to move around. But the advantage is it's a bigger LCD screen, so you can see the picture that you're capturing better. So that's the big advantage. I had to change up some of the holders that I had with it. I made all those. I try to do everything cheap because I know a lot of teachers are on a budget, so I try to do everything for free or just on a very low budget. A tripod always helps out because you have to get some sort of tripod. You don't want the kids to hold it because the more they hold it, you'll see that it's really shaky. So some sort of tripod helps out, even if they got to make something because where's my free one? You know, I'm sure you guys have seen. I made these cutout ones. Oh, there it is. And these even book holders, you know, I got this free. I think it was at a CapCUE event. So even putting an iPad through there really helps out. But just do not let them hold it because it will be shaky. Light's optional as long as you have decent lighting. You do well. Most times it's in the classroom, so it's it's well lit. Like I said, you can use anything from clay to toys. We've done the Mario Kart around school where they take a chair, they take a picture, move the chair, take a picture. So if, we're going to have some time. I would challenge you guys to do that. If you guys ever saw Gumby, how he moves, he lifts up the leg and he slides. So that's the same motion where you would take a picture, take a picture, take a picture, and then it ends up looks like you're sliding. So it's really cool. So, and we did the human train where we're sitting down on our bottoms, and then we just take a pictures, and it looks like we're moving throughout the school. So that's a fun project for them to do too. The ones that I use, those are all hot links. If you guys have the app there, if you click on it, those are all Amazon stuff. That's the best bang for the buck for the iPad. I found that they work well and they don't break. So I've tried out a lot of things throughout the years, and usually they break after one school year, but they've held up the best. These are not that reliable because if you guys ever use selfie sticks or whatever, they fly off. So these actually have a pretty good clamp where they can hold on pretty well, and they have a pretty good like a retractable spring to them. And I also look for the metal grommet too, so as you're twisting on it doesn't strip, because once it's stripped, it's done. So this is the best bang for the buck because I believe it's like $13, and it comes with the big iPad holder, it comes with the smaller one, and it comes with the handle one. So that's usually the ones that have worked out the best. And the bigger tripod, they're usually about $20. So those are all links that I have there. Okay. Whenever you're stuck, whatever you are in need or anything, the I-bands are the best ones to use. So, okay, so if you guys ever are in trouble. If you guys, I don't have a hot link for this, but if you guys want to get my info, you guys can buy some from me. I usually have it for like, I'll give you 10 for like $10, but I can give you guys a discount if you guys need it. So go through me for these, okay? So I'll give you guys a really great deal. So these I-bands are awesome, okay? So it really promotes creativity. I've used it for science, for math, for social studies. So somebody came in here earlier, a teacher, and didn't know which session to go to. And I said, stop motion is great because if you guys give the students the iPads, you'll be surprised what they can do. So it's not much teaching on my end. It's just go ahead, use it for your creativity. I teach 6th grade, so I use it for perimeter. I use it for area, for the water cycle, just all ends for science. So it's a lot of fun. And for the little kids, it really teaches them patience. You know, because they start out really awesome. They start out moving, and then all of a sudden they do the jump, and you just like, I'm done. You know, so it does teach a lot of patience because it teaches them that within this hour, you're not going to get done. You're going to get 5 seconds, and then next time you're going to come, you're going to get 5 seconds. And it does take a lot of planning and a lot of direction because when you're working with one another, you have to clear your hand, you have to move, you have to communicate when to take the pictures. So it does take, it's a epitome of a big project. So it does teach them a lot. And it's a learning process too, because the first one always comes out really terrible. Hands are being caught, fingers are being caught, they didn't move it correctly, and so they learn, and it gets better and better and better, and the project gets longer and longer and more intricate. Yes?
So what if you don't have any, iPads or iPhone, or your students don't have phones? What other options are you having for taking pictures? Will the webcam work?
Oh, webcam works, but not as well. So then I'm going to get to it, but then I would suggest you guys get into more animation and using Google Slides, because Google Slides is free. Hopefully you guys can get a cart of Chromebooks at your school. So that would be my next suggestion is moving towards more animation using Google Slides. Same process because you're doing frame by frame work. So I'll get to that in a minute. Here are some examples. If you guys click on there, I want to get more to Google Slides and show you. My daughter did a quick one where they did, she was in 1st grade when she did this spelling word. So instead of just writing down the words, you can just drop down letter tiles and creating words. So again, keep the project simple. I think that's the biggest thing. Your kids will always come in with like that hour-long project with aliens coming down, then hyperspace coming in, then they're coming in with the laser, then the car's going to come in fast and furious. You're like, why don't you just have this elephant move from here to here first? We'll just do that. That's going to be your project today. Just really keep on moving from one end to one end. Bless you. And then when they want to integrate maybe 2, and then maybe zigzag along the way. And then it's just later on that you guys will start to create a problem and a solution within your story there. But keep it very simple. Make sure the movement's small. You don't have to create anything big. Okay? But again, let them play around with it. Let them learn. Oh, wow, it is kind of choppy. Yeah, what did you learn from that? You didn't have enough time, whatever. But the kids will come up with their own issues and figure it out. There's a link for my storyboard. It's always nice. It's not necessary, but for the older kids, I like to plan out and let them see what they're doing. I tell them in the writing process, this is your rough draft. Before you even make it, what's going to happen? Do you have a problem and a solution? What is your shots going to look like? So it just gives them a visual, but it's not always necessary, but it's sometimes nice. With the iPads and stuff, you can even take pictures of and do like a visual storyboard. So using stop motion is the same sort of, let me show you what it looks like. So it came down to what? See, 122 slides. So I always recommend, you're going with 10 frames. That's really low, 10 frames per second or even 6 frames per second. So start out with having 6 slides of nothing because that's your beginning intro. So that way something doesn't pop in the screen right away. So I'm moving down right now, as you guys can see, frame 5, frame 6. And this is off screen, but it's popping up now, my little circle. So I'm keeping it simple. This ball is just going to bounce off screen. So it's entering. Frame by frame, I'm just moving it. And all I'm doing is just taking this and copying and pasting it. And then, so I'm going to copy and paste it on my next slide. And this is my next slide. I just basically move it one space down, or just a little bit where I want to go. And so it takes a lot of patience and wear because you don't want to move it too much, and the kids will learn that. Okay, and so that's stop motion if you guys don't have all the iPads and all the visual stuff. So individually, they just start up a Google blank slide and create what do you want to do? Do you want to have your shape go across? Do you want to have it bounce? So talk to them about what your animation is going to look like. And again, keep it simple before you get into the big projects. Your first task, it should take 2 or 3 days moving one object from one end to the other end. So, and that should be that very first project. That's what you guys are going to do today because it does take time. And so that's what it looks like. And then I have a link right up here, and I'll show you guys. So all said and done, you go there's a publish button. You publish it, and they're going to give you a long old web page. And this is where that mathematical number is. It's basically you want to go with basically an eighth of a second per frame. So that's what they're calculating. And then when they give you another a hot link, and when you go and paste it on there, the animation would actually move for you. You don't have to press it. So that's the option. One of my top students, he created everything by hand, which is really cool, as you guys can see, if it works. He created every last bit of this. I mean, this was, I thought he copied it, but he actually created every dot, every little shape in this background. This is Google Slides. Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of my top students, but he created every single dot, every movement. So in doing that, the shapes are all there. And he showed me. I'm like, so where did you get the background pictures? Like, there was no background picture. I created that. That's just so good. I'm like, really? You did? So it's a lot of copying and pasting, and that's what it is in site. So, you know, and again, it was a very quick project, but as you guys can see, it is altogether 325 slides. So it does take a lot of work and patience.
How long did it take him?
That's probably about a 3-week project. So, and you know, it's not going to always look like that. I mean, again, that's a top student, so that's why starting out small and understanding, and they're going to get better and better. So when they
8 frames per second?
I had to look at it. So, and that's what's great about the Google Slides, because you can play around with the frames, because you just type in the number. If it just goes 00084, oh, that's too fast, 0064, and then you can play around with how fast it is. It's centered on 3 seconds. So that's why you're changing out that 3-second automatic presentation to a very fast presentation. So, okay. But that's something that my kids have been loving. So I kind of switched over for the tactile stop motion to more Google Slides. But it's always that option though. So like this year we're going to actually cut out the raindrops, and so we're going to try to compare, contrast, do the hands-on water cycle and the digital water cycle too. So here's some examples, and here's all the instructions. What you guys need to do when you guys are done with your Google Slides, just go up there and press all the it's all in file, and do all that, and that will give you guys that running animation there. Okay, there's a great example there. It's reconnecting. So this is what the animation is really going to look like. This is a very typical animation. You'll see fingers in there. Everything is very choppy. You don't know what's really going on. So this is more the expectation of what you're going to get. You know, because then in their mind, oh, there was a big car crash, and their friend was going to come and help them out, but then the police officer felt really bad, and he came in, and it's like, okay, that looks all right, okay, all right. So, yeah, and again, that's more you're going to see, and then okay, all right, well, what did you see that you can improve on? Well, I saw my finger. Okay, so next time, because in stop motion, you can go back and cut out anything that you went wrong, because you're like, oh, his finger was in the way. It's all right, just go back and you can delete that little frame that's in there. So there's a lot of tricks and trades to that. So, okay, but that's more what it's going to look like. Tutorials for claymation, how to build claymations and stuff. So if you guys like the clay's messy, so just prepare for that. As you guys can see, it's the Corolla one, they're like oil-based ones. So you just prepare for a little bit of messiness. Okay. Okay, I mean, that's basically it. This session is more for you guys to play around with. I would love for you guys to either partner up. Usually partner up in 2s or 3s works best. I usually partner up in 3s for a big group, but you guys can. I have enough, I think, for 2. I have Legos up here. All I ask is that you guys return the Legos. I have be very upset daughters if you guys don't. There's clay up here. There's animals up here. There's cars up here. So again, you can use anything you guys want to. You guys want to use stop motion people, that's fine. But I challenge you guys to make a stop motion today of just something moving from one side to another side. There's iPads. There's ones on tripods. So I challenge you guys to go play. You made your animation. Look at that. That's cool.